Welcome learners. In this section, I'm going to discuss the most commonly used data type that will be seen on any app, that is a list. You open YouTube, you'll see a list of videos. You open Big Basket, you'll see a list of groceries. You open Amazon and you'll see a list of products that is at the back of your brains. Well, this simple data type has got a bit of intriguing features. We're going to talk about how to add components into the list, how do you modify them, and in fact, how to retrieve them also. In detail, we're going to talk about what indexes the list follows. In order to follow along, stay tuned and keep watching this entire video.
Let me lay down the blueprint for our session. We're going to understand list operations. Unlike me going to Android Studio directly, I'm going to explain certain list operations like .add, .remove, .index, and all of this we're going to do on Dartpad. Well, Dartpad is kind of a playground which you have seen in module 2 for me, in which I was trying to teach to you about certain amount of data structures that you could be frequently using into your app. So let's head over to dartpad.dev. Over this website, I can simply try out small pieces of my code. Let me put my list of strings. So basically, this is the task list that I would be having. And I'll put task list.add buying groceries, learning about state management, preparing notes, and having lunch. So what I have done, I've added 4 tasks into my task list, and let me use this print to display the entire task list. Let me run my code and then show to you that all the things that we have added into the list we are able to fetch. Now the catch is, over here buying groceries is actually going to get inserted as a 0th index. We as humans prefer, or at least normal human beings would count 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. When it comes to our computers, well, they are a bit precise, as because they prefer to count from 0, 1, 2, 3. Well, in this case, what would happen? The first item that has been added to the list will actually be at 0th position, followed by this on the first, this on the second, and this on the third. Now, what we shall be doing? let's create a string third task. Well, in this case, I'm going to say task list, and in bracket I'll put number 3. Then I'll comment this piece of code and print third task in list followed by my variable third task, and then click on run. It's very obvious that you would have already had the answer in your mind that having lunch would be the third task. Well, what I wanted to show to you is 1, 2, 3, 4 is human calculation of adding the things into the list. 0, 1, 2, 3 is computer way or the programming way of adding things to the list. .add helps me adding an item. Within the rectangle brackets, if I provide the index that's going to be there valid into the list, then I'm going to get that particular value. Let's say if I try to put something over here as 4, wherein in the 4th position there is nothing, then when I try to run my app, it's going to give me this error. Well, this basically tells me that if I'm trying to look for an index which does not exist, it's going to land me an error. So how do I solve this problem? In that case, let me create one integer variable, integer index of preparing notes. What I'm going to do is from the task list, I'm going to use this particular index of function. Now what I'll try and do, copy this and paste it over here. So now because our list is very small, we know that preparing notes is having second position in my list. Let me now index of preparing notes. Let me now print this over here and then run my app to check if this actually gives me 2. Well, I got 2. Hence, what it means, .add adds an item into the list. When I mention in rectangle brackets any particular number, if there is an variable or an item into the list at that particular index position, I'll get that particular value and then we are going to print it. Lastly, index of lets me programmatically get the index and then we are trying to print it. Last one point will be, can I use this index and update the item? Let me give it a try. So what I'll try and do, at item position 2, instead of preparing notes, let's say I change my mind and I go for a shopping to buy a shirt. What I'll now do is put this as before task list, and after I change the index position here, I'm going to put the after task list. Now when I do a run, do you notice buying groceries remains same, learning about state management remains same, and repeat. Do you notice? Buying groceries remains same, learning about street management remains same, but this preparing notes got replaced with buy a should. Well, this indicates that index of literally allows us to change that particular value in the list.
Hopefully, if you are also a very beginner into list or computer science, I would have helped you along to understand this simple data component. Now, in the next session, we're going to discuss about how to get started with the producer and the consumer. For example, we have one screen where we are adding a list of tasks. Then one screen where we will be displaying all the pending tasks. How to establish a communication, how do you deal with inflow and outflow of data is an entire topic which we will be discussing in the next class. So stay tuned and keep learning with open minds.